Tonight's story is one of mystery, suspense, and a terrifying question that has no easy answer. So turn off the lights, put your phone on silent, and don't answer any unknown numbers while watching this. Because after tonight, you may never look at a late night phone call the same way again. This is MelosStoryz, and our story begins now. Today, we're unpacking a narrative that brilliantly tears apart one of the most mind-bending and honestly terrifying concepts in speculative fiction. We're talking about the closed loop paradox. We'll be breaking down a seriously chilling source text called The Echo at 2:17 a.m. And this isn't just your standard ghost story. It's more like a meticulously crafted trap. It's a mechanical puzzle where the victim is actually the architect of their own doom. By dissecting the exact sequence of events here, we're going to see firsthand how a completely random anomaly spirals into an inescapable cycle. But first, picture this for a second. You're fast asleep in your bed, the house is completely dead silent, and then suddenly, a noise cuts right through the quiet. What would you do if your phone rang at exactly 2:17 a.m., you groggily picked it up, and the voice on the other end of the line was yours? It's one of those premises that just immediately gets under your skin, right? Because the threat isn't some monster hiding in the closet or an intruder at the door. The threat is literally you. Well, that is exactly how our source material kicks off. Our protagonist, Daniel, gets this exact call. After a few agonizing seconds of heavy breathing on the line, he hears this deeply unsettling opening line. "Don't hang up." And the voice sounds absolutely identical to his own. Now, Daniel's first reaction? It's deeply human and honestly pretty relatable. He just laughs it off nervously. He asks who's messing with him. And when the voice says, "I'm you," Daniel completely writes it off as a sick prank from a buddy, especially when the caller claims he has exactly 3 days before someone close to him dies. So he hangs up. But, as we'll quickly find out, ignoring an anomaly like this doesn't make it go away. Section 1. The impossible phone call. So, the physical evidence of this event is just straight up impossible. Before Daniel manages to fall back asleep on that first night, he happens to glance at the call duration. It is exactly 3 minutes long. No extra seconds, just a perfect block of time. But the next morning, when he's trying to rationalize the whole weird ordeal, he checks his phone again. The caller ID? Unknown. The call history? Completely empty. There is absolutely no record of the conversation happening at all. No missed call, 0 logged minutes. We're looking at a glaring physical contradiction here. A 3-minute conversation that leaves absolutely 0 digital footprint by morning. So Daniel does what any of us would do. He tries to forget about it. But the stakes get drastically raised on the second night. The phone rings again. 2:17 a.m. on the dot. Exact same unknown number. Only this time, Daniel doesn't ignore it. He answers immediately. The caller says, "You ignored me yesterday. I'm trying to save you." When Daniel demands to know who on earth is speaking, the caller sighs and drops this impossible bomb. "I'm you 3 days from now." And right there, that's the exact moment this narrative shifts from a creepy prank to a full-blown psychological invasion. Which brings us to Section 2, Escalation and Proof. The timeline of this narrative operates a lot like a tightening noose. We can map the whole thing out across 3 very distinct nights. Night 1 is simply the warning, right? It's easily dismissed. Then we have Night 2, the blackout, which we'll dig into in just a second. This is the undeniable proof. And finally, Night 3 is the ultimate confrontation, the ultimatum. The text structures this escalation flawlessly, giving Daniel just enough time to really sit with his dread before hitting him with the next massive blow. Okay, so the absolutely crucial point here is how the caller actually proves their identity on Night 2. When Daniel snaps and says, "Prove it," the caller responds totally calmly, predicting a neighborhood power outage in exactly 7 minutes. Daniel stares at the clock, and right on cue, boom, everything goes dark. His heart completely stops. But the caller doesn't stop there. Over the next 2 nights, the voice on the phone essentially weaponizes intimacy. They start revealing hyper-specific childhood memories, hidden physical scars, and private thoughts that Daniel has literally never shared with a single living soul. There's 0 logical explanation left at this point. He has no choice but to accept the horrifying reality of the situation. Having fully accepted this impossible reality, we finally hit the devastating revelation on the 3rd night. Daniel asks the one question he's been dreading all along. If the caller really is him, who dies? The voice goes dead quiet for a second. and then just whispers, "You." The caller then gives Daniel one incredibly specific, bizarre instruction for the following day. Do not go home after work, because his home is exactly where the death is supposed to happen. Section 3, the illusion of choice. Now, Daniel fully believes he is breaking the prophecy here. He follows the voice's instructions, stays far away from his house, and rents a room at a random hotel. But the tragic, truly terrifying reality of the situation is that this deliberate attempt to break the cycle by going to that specific hotel is the exact action that fulfills it. It's like a giant puzzle. He hasn't stepped off the path at all. He has just walked completely blindly right back to the starting line. So he's in his hotel room just watching the hours tick by. Midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Nothing happens at all. He actually smiles. He literally says out loud to the empty room, "I changed the future." He feels that sweet, temporary relief of survival. But then, at the exact moment his guard is fully down, the phone rings once again, 2:17 a.m. Daniel answers it, fully expecting to celebrate his victory. But instead, the voice on the other end sounds weirdly relieved and drops an absolutely terrifying twist. The voice says, "You finally listened," and when Daniel frantically asks if he's safe, the answer is a flat no. And then we get this absolute gut punch of a line, "You were never trying to escape death. You were trying to discover where it begins." The future self wasn't trying to save Daniel at all. The future self was luring Daniel to this exact spot to maintain the integrity of a time loop. Section 4, the closed time loop. Walk step by step through Daniel's agonizing final moments with me here. Before he can even fully process what his future self just told him, he hears it. Step 1, 3 slow knocks on his hotel room door. He creeps over, looks through the peephole, nothing. Step 2, he slowly opens the door to an entirely empty hallway. Nobody's there. Step 3, he looks down and sees a single cell phone just lying on the floor of the hallway, and it is ringing. This is just visceral horror right here. Daniel picks up the ringing phone. He looks down at the screen, and it shows only one contact calling, Daniel. He answers the phone. The voice whispers, "Now it's your turn to make the call." And the line just disconnects. The realization washes over him, and us as the reader, that to survive, to actually fulfill this loop, he is now forced to become the very monster he's been terrified of for 3 straight days. He has to be the one to make the calls. The physical aftermath of this realization is incredibly clinical and just absolute. The next morning, the hotel staff enter room 214. It is totally empty. There are absolutely no signs of a struggle whatsoever. No luggage left behind, that mysterious phone is nowhere to be found. Daniel has completely, inexplicably vanished. He's been entirely consumed by the paradox, basically erased from his present timeline to exist only as the disembodied voice haunting his past self. Section 5, the final lesson. Now, you might be thinking the loop just cleanly closes here and Daniel's torment is this isolated, contained incident, but the text reveals a truly chilling epilogue. 1 week later, exactly 2:17 a.m., all the way across town, a young woman answers an unknown call on her cell. The voice simply says, "Don't hang up." But this time around, the text explicitly notes that the voice sounds terrified. It's Daniel. The loop didn't just consume him, it mutated him into this desperate, trapped entity, reaching out to a brand new victim and completely restarting the cycle of terror all over again. And this brings us right to the core life lesson derived straight from the text. Not every mystery needs an answer. Sometimes, surviving means accepting that some doors should never be opened. It perfectly highlights that human curiosity, our desperate innate need to understand the unknown, to answer that ringing phone, to figure out how to beat the unbeatable, is so often our fatal flaw. Think about it. If Daniel had just ignored the calls, if he hadn't obsessively sought the answer, the loop could never have even begun. Which leaves us with a final, really provocative thought to chew on. We've seen the intricate mechanics of this trap. We've seen how engaging with the unknown is exactly what seals your fate. So I have to ask you directly. If you're lying in bed tonight, the house is completely quiet, and your phone suddenly lights up with an unknown number at exactly 2:17 a.m., will you answer? Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating text with me today. Stay curious out there, but remember, some calls are definitely better left to voicemail.